Alrighty, folks. Well, welcome back to the free video series. It's David Garland along with Coach Marilyn. Where to focus your time, energy, and money to create a successful online course, regardless if you're just getting started, a seasoned pro, or somewhere in between. This is video number 3. Marilyn, we did it. I don't know what we did, but we made it to video number 3. We've been doing a good job, right? So this is your friendly reminder that if you haven't watched videos number 1 and number 2, get your butt back there and watch them, right? Because it will set the context here for video number 3, okay, which is maximizing stage number 2 of your online course journey, okay? So as we get started with this, these are the 3 stages: the starter stage, the pre-launch and launch stage, and then we've got the post-launch stage, okay? Now, I don't think you need a reminder anymore here in video number 3 about who we are, but since we're on video here, why not put a picture also of us so you can double see that we have photos of ourselves and we're on video. But I'm David Garland, aka DSG, creator of Create Awesome Online Courses and the Rise to the Top, and teaching people how to create successful online courses since 2013 with over 6,000 students in 100 countries. And we're trying each video to make our intro even shorter. So Marilyn, now you give me one sentence.
I'm Marilyn, and I'm on the other side of the planet in Sydney, Australia. I'm Australian, and look, I'm the accelerator coach for Create Awesome Online Courses, and bucket loads or decades of experience coaching all things courses.
Awesome. I like it. Like, by the last video, we're just going to say hi, and that's going to be it.
Hi,
so
absolutely.
Let's get right into the second stage here. And this is the pre-launch and launch stage of your online course. And this is what I like to call kind of a beautiful yet chaotic symphony of what to do here, okay? So first of all, we got to start with our criteria. This is the fun part. This is the fun part. It ages some people about 20 years, but it's the fun part, right? So let's get to the criteria here. The criteria for this stage. How do you know when you're ready to launch, right? I like to use this barometer of 1,000 of the right people on your email list or close, right? And if you've been following what we've been teaching on here, if you follow what I teach in my programs, more about that later on, and you've been building a relationship with these people, you're going to be in the right zone to launch, okay? Because at the end of the day, you need people to launch too. You need an audience, you need a tribe, right? So if you have that 1,000 people on your email list in your audience, you are now ready to get this party started, okay? And it's full steam ahead to launching correctly. Keyword there is correctly, because we can launch and we can launch correctly, right? I think you want to do the second one. So the first thing to think about is, am I going to pre-sell or pre-record my course, right? And the technology that goes along with that. We're not going to, these videos are not about technology, but I want to just break down really fast about pre-selling and pre-recording. And while I break that down, afterwards, I want to see if Marilyn has got some insights as well, as she's coached so many of our students with this. So pre-selling means that you sell the course, meaning you launch your course, then you create it as you go, often with your students, okay? Now realize, if you're going to pre-sell something, you say it's so you don't surprise people and they buy, and all of a sudden you say, by the way, surprise, it's not done. No, you tell them that when you're selling it. You say, listen, it's a brand new course. It's going to be, I'm making this up, over 6 weeks. Each week there's going to be a new video. You could do it live or pre-recorded. That's either way is totally fine. And then at the end of it, you're going to have your course done. That's pre-selling, okay? Pre-recording is that just like it says, you pre-record your course, and then it's all ready for them on day number 1. You can say, hey, you buy right now, you get instant access to all 6 modules of the course. You get access to everything right away. Now, Marilyn, when you've been coaching students that get to this phase, and maybe some are a little wishy-washy on the pre-selling, pre-recording, they're not sure which route do I go, what advice do you give them, or what do you give them to think about?
It depends on their experience in terms of delivering things live, and also all the tech that's involved. Because yes, you may be Well, and this is what happens a lot. You do get people who are already educators and they're used to standing in front of people and doing it. But it's a different thing when you're doing the tech. So if you're comfortable with that, go with it because you usually can launch faster. However, I do if they're kind of a little bit on the fence, I'll say, look, how about this first time you pre-record?
I like that. And by the way, I'll give you another advanced tip here. You can also have a little bit of a hybrid where you can pre-record some of it and then you
Yes.
could do release more later on. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And again, this thing, I'm going to tell you about things that make or break you. This is not a make it or break it. This is just a decision that you need to make. Okay. Pre-sell or pre-record. Now, the second thing is pricing and packaging. Okay. Now, again, in these videos, I just want to give you an overview. We could, Marilyn and I could sit here, we could talk about pricing for the next 4 hours, right?
Mm.
We could sit here and talk about packaging and bonuses and support for the next 3 hours, right? But I just want to give you what you need to think about at this stage, okay? Is what's the price going to be for your course? And what is my packaging? So what I mean by that is what bonuses am I going to offer? And what's the promise of my course? And also, where can people get help? Because nowadays, courses are more than a course. It's not just a course. There's going to have to be some way people can get support. Is it a Facebook group? Is it a an email ticketing system? Whatever it might be. But realize that's the expectation now when people buy a course. Yet that yes, of course, they're getting the learning, but there's also
Mm.
some way of getting support. So pricing and packaging is the next thing to think about. Marilyn, do you want to add anything to that? Kind of, I know those are some sort of broad things, but these are important things for people to understand about where their brain should be at
Yeah.
here on the second stage.
Yeah, and you're right. Look, don't spend too much time here because, look, it really can be a big obstacle. Just make a decision and work with it. You can always change it later.
Yep, that's true. And again, these are one of those things. And because, Marilyn, you just hit the nail on the head, is that when we get to launching here, I'm going to emphasize this a bunch. The launch is the launch. We call it the VIP launch. That's what we call the first launch of your course. But here's the thing to think about. This is not the end all be all. This is the kickoff, right? So many people, and I think this is really the fault of sort of like the online, I hate to call it guru culture because I don't like that word guru. I don't like whatever it might be. But people years ago used to just be bragging about those launches. I mean, saying like I made, $7 million in negative 1 seconds. What? That doesn't make sense, right? And the thing is that that's not the reality. The reality of this is the entire purpose of your first launch is to bring in your first customers. Period.
Mm.
It might
Mm.
be 5, it might be 10, it might be 20 customers. You might kill it, bring in 100 customers, but whatever it might be. But again, this is the launch. And now this is Renee Christine, someone that we know very well. Marilyn knows very well. I know very well. She's a student of ours. And Renee is someone that her first launch of her course, she made $3,000. This is a story we tell a lot, $3,000. And I ask people, I've spoken at events, I've talked about this online, Marilyn, you've heard me say this all the time. I say, I put that up on the screen, I say $3,000. If you launch your online course and you made $3,000, what would your reaction be? And it's always fascinating to hear what people have to say. Some people say I'd be over the moon excited. Some people say I'd be sad. Some people say I'd be elated. Some people say I wish I did better. Some people say this or that, right? Renee had the opposite effect. Or not opposite, she had the right attitude. Her attitude was, this is the beginning. Oh my God, people are paying me for my knowledge, for my course. This is amazing. She sent us now, which is known as the Crying Renee video, where she sent us a video that she was so excited that people were trusting her and buying her course. She couldn't believe it. She was taking her kids to Disney to buy a couple little toys and things like that. Now, Renee started with a $3,000 launch, built and built and built and built and built from there. About 3 years later, she's hit 7 figures in sales per year. Now it's actually more than that. Okay.
Mm.
So again, the launch is the launch. You might do better than Renee. You might not do as well as Renee, but the point is that that's the launch. Okay. Now, when it comes to launching a course, there's 4 ways to do it. The email only launch, the free video series launch, the free challenge launch, and the free webinar launch. Now, we're not going to get into all the details of what these all are here in this free video series, which is actually number 2. But the idea here is that you're creating something that builds anticipation. You're helping connect with people. You're helping getting people excited and ready to take the next step. You don't just throw your course out there. I think that's, Marilyn, one of the big mistakes that we see. If someone's not
Yeah.
coached properly or doesn't have the proper training, what do, Marilyn? They just throw it out there and they what? They hope? I don't know.
Yeah, they hope. It's that old, if you build it, they will come, which is might work in a Kevin Costner movie, but not on with courses.
That's right. That's right. Kevin Costner has left the building, right? Because the key here when it comes to launching is that you get the dates on your calendar and it's all about execution, right? Just like anything here, this is not something, a lot of people think we have to be so creative and so different and so this or that. This is about execution, right? It's about getting those customers in and taking great care of them. Period. That's what it's about. And I recommend that once you hit the 1,000 mark with your email list, you get these dates on the calendar. Doesn't matter what time of the year, doesn't matter what day of the week. I've had people, we launch on Christmas, we've had people launch on Hanukkah, we've had people launch on every single possible holiday under the sun, and also every day of the week, and by the way, every hour of the week, okay? That doesn't matter. Get the dates on the calendar, okay? Now, things to avoid at this stage. And again, the purpose of these videos is to give you an overview about where to focus, okay? But the things to avoid at this stage, insane launch expectations, right? We don't know. We don't know how you're going to do, but by following the proper training and also getting the proper coaching, we can expedite your results and give you a far better chance to succeed. Does that make sense? Meaning versus just trying to go out there and hope that you get it right. You don't want insane launch expectations, but realize it's all about getting those first customers in, okay? Now, another one here is too many bonuses and options. So if you start having 50 bonuses and all this kind of crap, that used to be kind of a big thing in online marketing, Marilyn, is people would have it was like as much as possible. It was like the clown car mentality. You know what I mean? Like shove everything in there and hopefully it works, right? We always advise people to stay at that 3 bonuses or less. Bonuses can help people get more excited about the course. It can offer further help and shortcuts and things like that, but too many ends up being a mess. Don't you agree with that?
Absolutely. I was looking at something online. Distracted by a shiny red object yesterday, and oh my gosh, it put me off with all the bonuses, and I just thought, I don't have time to go through those 65 bonuses right. That go through at me.
Download our 4,463 point checklist. What? So too many bonuses and options cause confusion. You don't want to do that, okay? The other thing is people, when they do their first launch, they start thinking way in the future. They start worrying about, well, is this scalable? Or how can I put it on autopilot right now? You needn't worry about that yet, right? We're not at that stage. Your first launch might be a little messy. Your first launch might have some things that go wrong, right? With it.
It will be messy.
It will be messy. And it's going to be messy. And guess what? You're going to learn a lot, and you're hopefully going to be making some sales and bringing in those first customers, right? But now is not the time to be worrying about scalability, autopilot, and advanced techniques, okay? It's not the time for that. Here's another one. Just because you're launching and pre-launch doesn't mean you stop your traffic strategies, right? We do not want to stop growing our email list. We do not want to stop engaging with our email list. This is not a, press pause, move to the next phase, right? That's going to continue to roll as you go beyond this. You never, ever want to stop those traffic strategies, okay? Now, here's another one. You don't want to worry about the first hour or first day of sales or even the first couple days of sales. We teach a few ways of doing this. One's a 7-day launch, right? Honestly, the key is all about the end. I know that sounds crazy if you've never launched anything before, but the most sales are going to come on that last day. Usually, I'd say that's about, Marilyn, how would you say? Maybe 9 out of 10 launches, I would say. Maybe 8 out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about the end. You're building it up because there's also going to be scarcity. There's going to be other things that we do in our launch. We give people deadlines, right, to make a decision, because launch all the way comes to the end. So don't fret and change course if you're on day 3 and you're not seeing the needle move yet. We want the entire body of work. I've had people before, and I know this is kind of rare, but it's definitely happened, where people days 1 through 6 Cricket City. Cricket City. And they start panicking. Oh my God, what happened? Like, they're like reevaluating their entire life. You know what I mean? But it's then day 7. I think it was someone that went 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Day 7, 17 sales. Right? And that
Yeah.
is proof, though, you have to look at this as a full body of work, not just a
Yeah.
vacuum of like, hey, day number 1, right?
Yep.
So it's
And
all about, go ahead.
it's really an emotional roller coaster during that
Yes.
open cup. But oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I mean, how much fun are roller coasters? Seriously. But just think about it, especially in your VIP launch. And if you've started your email list from scratch, they don't quite know you yet. So they're still consuming the content, getting to know you. A few launches down the track, if they didn't buy before, a lot of people are already, right, she's open again, I'm going to buy now. And that's the big difference.
I agree. And again, it's all about thinking about the long term. Like, it's one of those things, it's like you focus on the short term, but you're thinking about the long term.
Yeah.
And, again, we mentioned this many a time. This is kind of a recurring theme throughout this video series, just not having a plan or strategy and trying to figure this out. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster when it comes to this. And then another big one is not having a deadline. And we see this, this is funny. When I first started learning about this was a mistake I made, almost made, until thankfully someone told me about this. And I think it changed really the course of my business. And this was 2010, when my first online course came out, was that at the end of the day, for your VIP launch, you're going to have a time when your cart opens and you're going to have a time when your cart closes. Now, realize it's not going to close for the rest of your life. We're going to talk about that in the next video, okay? But at the end of the day, you're going to have a deadline. Why? Because a deadline simply has people make a decision. It's that simple.
Yeah.
They make a decision. Are they in or are they out? Okay? That's it when it comes to a deadline. So if there's one thing you want to get right, like if you mess up everything, if there's one thing you want to get right, you want to make sure you have a deadline on that launch. Very, very, very important. Okay?
Yep.
The other thing you don't want to do, and I know, Marilyn, you talk about mindset a lot with folks with this, is people say, okay, my course is going to be $497, making this up. But guess what? During my launch, I'm going to offer it for $97. I'm going to do some special, 80% off discount. What do you tell people when they try to go for that extreme discount on that launch?
I turn it on themselves and go, would you buy from someone who did that? And they go, oh, okay, I hear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. You have to be confident in your price and the value that you're providing for people. You have to know
absolutely.
that this is going to help them get results. You're going to have to know this helps them save time or money or energy or whatever it is that they're doing, right? So offering an extreme discount, that's not going to really serve you well. Right.
Yeah, you just look underconfident and you're not giving faith. And I think it's disrespectful to the people who you want to sell to. You're saying, oh, I really want to help solve your problem, but I don't believe in what I'm doing.
Right. And instead, you add value. Right? Instead of saying, okay, extreme discount, maybe they get a special VIP bonus for the first, that you're only going to offer to the first people that buy your course, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a better way of doing it, because Marilyn, made me think of those icky things I've seen online sometimes where you click on a site and the course is like $2,000, but you can get it today for $47. You're like, what? Like meaning you're like, this is going to be garbage, right? Because it just doesn't there's a disconnect there. You need to be charging what you're worth, okay? The bottom line here, all the stages are exciting, but there's nothing quite as awesome and also as nerve-wracking and as exciting as getting your work out into the world and helping people get results, right? Because you got to remember, you got to have that strong why you're doing this. But at the end of the day, there's going to be nothing cooler than you getting customers in and them starting to get those results. That's the key. When you start to hear the person learned how to play the clarinet, or they learned how to get their baby to sleep, or they did that, it's only going to build your confidence. But you can't do that until you build your audience and launch your course, right? So at the end of the day, there's nothing quite as exciting and crazy and exhilarating and sometimes frustrating, but more than often awesome when it comes to launching your course. Now, you want to add anything, Marilyn, final thoughts on the pre-launch and launch before we wrap this baby up?
Yes. One of the biggest tips someone once gave me was, remember, during all these 3 phases actually, but especially the launch, this second stage, it's all practice. You are just practicing. And if you come at it from that angle and that mindset, you're just okay. It takes the pressure off because look, you'll change things down the track for sure, but there's a big learning curve involved. So if you treat it all as I'm just practicing, this is great because the VIP launch feels like these huge big things, and yes, it is exciting. But after you've done about 20 of them, they're like, yeah, another notch, and that's in essence really how it works.
Yeah, that's nail on the head there. And again, yeah, having that mindset of what you're gonna, that's a great example of what to do. So now the third stage, right? How do you maximize all three of these stages? How do you make sure, I don't care if you're at stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or between stages right now, right? We're going to talk about that in the final video here in this video series. So we're going to cover stage 3, and then how do you maximize all this? How do we wrap this up into a nice, pretty bow? So that's going to be coming up next, and in the final video, can you believe it or not? Can we keep our intros even shorter? We'll see. In the video series coming up next. We'll see you guys. This is where to focus your time, energy, and money to create a successful online course, regardless if you're just getting started, a seasoned pro, or somewhere in between. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Alrighty, folks. Well, welcome back to the free video series.